Right, guys, hello. We are live. Welcome to this chance for you to ask me your questions about, I'll say anything money matters, any money related things. I'll try my best to do what I can. Already got a couple of people. Movie Master was waiting to join, so that's fantastic, mate. You were there on the dot. You're one of the first ones here, which is fantastic to see. And Abdalla's there as well. Says, "Yo, sir, hope you are well. I really enjoy these live streams, and I hope you are keeping well." Crazy that it's nearly Christmas. Yeah, it is getting closer and closer to Christmas, isn't it? I haven't calculated exactly how many weeks it is, but what must it be? 6 weeks? Is that right? Maybe? Yeah. 7 weeks, maybe. It is not far away. And actually, if you haven't listened to today's episode of my Cash Chats podcast, then that will take you through my kind of checklist of things you should be thinking about, money things you should be thinking about as we get closer to Christmas. Some of them you kind of probably should have been thinking about a few weeks ago. Things like travel for train tickets, the cheapest ones on a sale 12 weeks before the date that you want to travel. So they're already going to be gone, but there will still be some cheap ones. But I talk about all sorts of other things on the podcast, so do check that out. But yeah, Christmas is nearly here. Black Friday is nearly here, the big sales. So that's always a busy time for me as well. If you've got any questions, obviously you just drop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. Who we've got over here on Instagram? We've got Tempest and Anastasia. Tempest Anastasia, hello. HS Dobby. We've got Jack. Hello, guys. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining in. Until we get any sort of questions coming along, I can just riff. I can just talk about all sorts of things. What can I share with you that's been going on that's interesting for you guys that you might not know about? I'm sure you already followed the blog and everything that's going on there, so you know what's up to date there. But there have been a few things that's probably worth mentioning. And one of them is around bank switching. And some of you, I already know, really have done this already. And this might be a bit frustrating what I'm about to tell you. But the Santander bank switching offer, 130 quid, was due to end in October, got extended until December the 2nd, which is fantastic. Really, really good one to get your money from. You've never really done these before. So if you've done loads of bank switching offers, you probably haven't done that. It's now got slightly better. So sorry if you've already taken advantage of the deal. I've already done that. So there is now an option via a comparison site called money.co.uk. They're giving you that 130 quid, but they're also giving you an extra £20 Amazon voucher. So if you haven't yet taken advantage of the Santander switching deal, that's a nice little bit of extra cash for you. What else? We've got all loads of things coming through now. Tracy says, "Hi, evening, Andy. Annoyingly, YouTube is adding an advert before these on the live. So no wonder you're not there straight away. You've got to watch an advert before you can join me. Very strange." Hi to Gareth as well. Alex has got a question for us here. So, "Hi, Andy. I love these live streams, so thank you very much. You mentioned a while ago that you can only have one Natwest reward account. I confirm that I have two rewards. I'm only rewards on two, both sole accounts." So this is interesting. So people have mentioned this to me before that they've been able to do this. And when I've contacted Natwest about this, they said, no, you can only have one account earning rewards. And that's because the way it's kind of set up is that you only have that one reward account. It seems that a few people have been taking advantage of this, so it might be worth investigating that, seeing if you can. This if you obviously want to. I mean, you're only looking at getting an extra £3 a month, so 36 quid a year, and there might be other accounts you want to focus your efforts on instead. But potentially, if you've already maxed all those out and you think, right, I want to get yet another account to add to my kind of portfolios, giving that one a go. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Alex. Really good to know. Mini Mad, woohoo, made it for this one. Hi, Andy. Hi, Mini Mad. I know you've been trying to get some, but not been able to make the time all a lot. We've got a question here from someone who says, "Andy, can you mention the NatWest account suspension?" So this is, I believe, someone here who got in touch with me on, I think it was Instagram, could have been email, I'm not sure what it was. And they've had an issue where they have opened up a new NatWest account for the Switch, and it's been closed on them with some money still in there. Now, I had a quick look on this, and it seems this is something that has happened to other people. We probably already know that something happens to Monzo customers, but there's been apparently a lot of it in the summer. NatWest customers, the same thing happening. And it seems there is a Facebook group. I don't know if you looked at the Facebook group. If you have, let me know and I can sort of add this with one. But a Facebook group apparently for people in that same position. So maybe there's some extra help and assistance there. But it's something I'm definitely sort of keeping an eye on at the moment, or keeping an ear out for. Someone got in touch. They had a Starling account closed. So this is an interesting thing that we kind of need to be aware of. Don't panic, but I don't want to sort of scaremonger here on this. But it does seem that there's kind of the fraud checks that sometimes banks are doing is leading to accounts being closed. Obviously, that's frustrating. It's another reason why you want to have more than one current account, just in case something like this happens. But ideally, you don't want it to happen at all. And it is very, very rare. but it can seem to happen, and there's not necessarily any explanation for this. So that's obviously quite frustrating. Stephen says hello. Mr. Fazzy says, is it worth getting another credit card if you've had a previous one for a couple of years? So with credit cards, I get asked this question quite a lot. And I think the reason people want to know about getting a second credit card is because they're trying to boost their credit score. So they think getting a second credit card, doing this thing twice, it will help me. Now, potentially it could. I just did a whole video and article at the weekend about how to improve your credit scores. If you haven't already read or watched that video, do check those out. And one of the things they were talking about is credit utilization. This is how much credit you are using from the total available credit you have across your card or cards. So potentially an extra credit card might boost your credit utilization. Suddenly you've got an extra credit limit of £500, extra £1,000 or whatever, and that reduces that limit. So potentially that's useful for you. Potentially maybe there is a little bit of sort of support it might give you, but I don't think just paying off 2 cards at once really demonstrates much more to the lenders. So if it's that point of view, then maybe I wouldn't say it's a guaranteed sort of thing you should be doing, getting more than one credit card. The most important thing is just to use one credit card well. That would do better than 2 credit cards averagely. But if you're thinking about things like rewards, then yeah, absolutely, there can be advantages to getting additional credit cards. I've been a big fan for years and years and years now of the American Express cashback credit cards. Only really in the last few months has that debit card from Chase come along, which kind of means, should you use an Amex? The question is a bit more sort of up in the air. But again, sometimes Amex isn't accepted everywhere. So you might want to get a credit card that's accepted in other shops. You might have ones which are specific to particular retailers. So there are different reasons why you might want to get one. And actually, that is something I should tell you about. Shop Small, American Express Shop Small. It normally comes back in December. We had an extra one for the last couple of years in the summer, I think trying to support small retailers during the pandemic. But it is going to come back. The dates have been confirmed starting on the 4th of December this year. Saturday, the 4th of December, which is Small Business Saturday. It will start then. And from what I've seen, again, this isn't official confirmation. This was like an extra page that was put on for retailers. The offer is only going to last for, I think, 12 days this time rather than normal 14. So it's going to be slightly shorter. Plus the promotional terms which happened in the summer, which was £5 back when you spend £15 rather than what it's previously been, £5 back when you spend £10. That's going to stay the same as well. Still need to get a bit more information in terms of how many times you can use it per card. I imagine it will be like it was in the summer, 5 times per card, once per retailer. So a maximum of £25 back per card. But I've got a whole article taking you through that, and obviously more information I will share with you. But that's a nice little bit of news to share with you guys if you haven't seen it on the blog already. Hi to Weekend Bakery and My Life and Matthew and to V Taylor and Miss Shazam and to Moza and Budget Jones's Diary. Anastasia Tempest says she's doing a no spend year this year. That's fantastic. So did you start in January? So you're kind of nearly over. What's going to happen in the new year? Are you going to suddenly start spending lots of money, or are you going to keep that habit going? Really keen to know. Hi to F Uphill and to 1993 Aladdin and Sidhu. Nice to see all of you guys joining in. Got loads more of you here. Fantastic. Who else we got? PPP out. Tyron Dingle. Kiki Nelk. Luke and Nath and Dills. Hey guys, nice to see you. Mini Mad says, what do you think about these Christmas savers that are out there? So Christmas savers, I assume what you mean here are the supermarket based saving schemes. There are also some regular savers designed around Christmas. Let's start with those supermarket schemes. And I have covered them in detail on the blog in the past and on the podcast, so you can check that out if you want a bit more information. But essentially, these are schemes and it's like stamp schemes as well, Christmas stamps. Sometimes not even supermarkets, it's just sort of saving schemes that exist. These are designed to let you save a small amount of money every single month. And you generally start in January, which means when it comes around to now, November, December time, you've got some funds available to you to pay for Christmas. So the sentiment behind this is great. The idea of saving for something in the future. Okay, fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of using those supermarket schemes, of using those saving stamp schemes for this purpose though, because your money's not protected. If something was to go wrong, the scheme was to collapse for whatever reason, or you were to lose your access in whatever way, your money is lost. You do not get it back. It's not protected in the same way that bank accounts are. And you can do pretty much the same thing if you want, just putting your money into a separate savings account on a regular basis. Sometimes there are regular savers, although do watch out. Most of them will be locked for 12 months, so you won't be able to take them out before 12 months. So not great if you start in January for Christmas, but you can just put it into a normal savings account, £50 a month, £100 a month, whatever it is, and then have it there available to use later on. and it's protected if something goes wrong. Plus, you will earn interest if you put it in an account that pays interest. And although some of the supermarket schemes will give you a little bonus, the loophole for these, the sort of the way around this, is you can actually put all the money in the day before the deadline and still get that bonus. So you get interest throughout the year, protection throughout the year, put it into the supermarket savings scheme, get the bonus, and then you can use that gift card to spend on your food shopping. Also, the other benefit of having a savings account is if you do have an emergency, you've got access to it for other reasons, not just Christmas food shopping. Now, most of those supermarket schemes have closed for this year. The Asda one closes, I think, next week. I think the deadline is approaching very soon, but the others have already finished. There are also some regular savers that do this, but again, look for the one that offers you the best rate, not just because it's got the word Christmas in it. That's my tip on that. What else we got there? Foysha says evening. Mr. Fazy says, right, just correcting there, it's fine. And Nadine says hello. Now, what's this in? So Niham Stephen says, hi Andy. I found you via Peter Komolofe last week. So I did a live with Pete last week, which you can watch on his channel if you haven't seen it already. Thanks for the shout out on the weekly football podcast on how they manage finance. Question, how do the personal savings tax allowance work in the UK? Right, okay, do you know what? This is perfect, again, because I can direct you to my podcast. The timing, it is, you probably don't know I do a podcast. I've got a podcast called Cash Chats. It comes out Tuesday and Friday. Today's episode, there are 3 stories. Christmas spending, Christmas savings, mentioned that. I've also talked about tax on your savings, the personal savings allowance, the amount of money that you can earn in interest every year before tax is due. So again, listen to today's podcast, search Cash Chats on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those things, or head to becleverwithyourcash.com and you'll see it there and you'll be able to get all that information. Or there is an article that I wrote on the blog last month, maybe September, which has all that information as well. Sabiri says hello. John says hi. Craig waves. Now, Jason says here, this might be one that you guys want to jump in with your suggestions, but Jason asks, what are good apps to use for first-time investors? Now, my take on this, and I've sort of shared this before, again, you guys know that I don't do investing a lot. I will mention it, I can talk to you about it, but this isn't my sort of speciality, so I don't talk about stuff which isn't my speciality because that's where, a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous and kind of direct people in the wrong way. However, what I would say is you're a first-time investor that don't get necessarily caught up in these kind of day trading, individual share type apps like Free Trade or Trading 212 or any of those. Because though lots of people have been using them a lot over the last 18 months and lots of people will talk about them a lot, for a first-time investor, really you want to be looking at something called an index fund where you are investing across lots and lots and lots and lots of different shares and you're kind of balancing your risk. And you need to kind of build up a nice amount of money there before really you sort of faff around a little bit with, I want to get a bit in Tesla or a little bit in Apple or whatever it might be. Now, in terms of which app, because you don't have to use websites for these things. There are apps that will let you do this. You want to look at a few different things, and you want to look at probably most importantly, well, 2 things. You want to look at the access to the indexes that you want. Not every single app will have the availability of the ones you might choose to buy, and also there will be differences in fees. So kind of work that one out. But again, I'm sure you can find some good suggestions. There are people who've got their own sort of experiences. They can share those in the comments. Anastasia says she started the no spend year last year, so she's doing fantastic there. Well done. Hi to Bear Brie O'Brien. Hi to Nix P. All right, and Anastasia says, what's the podcast called? You speak very fast. I do speak very fast. It is something I need to kind of maybe slow down a little bit on. Let me have a glass of water. That'll help. The podcast is called Cash Chats. Cash Chats. So you can find that in all different podcasting apps. Saberi says, I might sound dumb, lol, but how do I take out a loan? Is there a way to take out a loan that I can pay back later within 4 months? So loans can be a very, very cheap way to borrow, particularly with interest rates so low right now. So they might be the best option for you. I'm not saying they are the best option, depending on how much money you need. You might be a 0% purchase credit card might be more suitable for you, or things like that. But to get out a loan, what I would do is have a look at a comparison site. And again, like you would with a credit card, do an eligibility check first of all. Find out which ones you are going to be most likely to get, and potentially also what terms you're likely to get when you do that. Again, most of them will give you this information. And then if one sort of says like, you've got a high chance of success of getting it, apply for that loan, enter your details, and that will come through. Now, I don't know off the top of my head what loans there are out there. That's not something I kind of keep an eye on a regular basis. But there will be some which are kind of shorter term. There will be some which are longer term. Obviously, the longer you have it, the more interest you'll be paying. If you take out one with a longer term, but you want to pay it off early, that can be fantastic. But just do check there aren't any early repayment charges. Sometimes they'll charge you more to clear it faster. So we took out 0% finance on our kitchen a few years ago. We got that done just to kind of, we had some extra costs that came along we didn't anticipate to get the place rewired essentially. So we put the kitchen on 0% rather than pay for it up front. Had 12 months to do it, had the money, most of it, and then we saved the rest of it. I thought, right, I'll just get rid of it early, but I couldn't. If I was to clear it early, they wanted to charge me a fee. So I had to wait literally until the last day to pay the last amount on that loan to avoid that extra charge. But that's worth bearing that in mind. So Stephen asks, have you any protection on booking up on hotel sites, double books, etc.? Okay, so this is an interesting one. Hotels, I'm sure more and more of us will be sort of thinking about going abroad. I know a lot of people have suddenly been thinking now that you can go to the States, obviously that whole route has opened up, and I know a handful of people who have done that, or I hear of people who have taken advantage of that. So that international travel getting more and more popular, more and more, well, feasible right now, but even at home. So I haven't spoken about booking holidays for such a long time because we've not been able to. But what I generally do if I'm booking a holiday, I think these are things worth thinking about for yourselves, is I would pretty much almost always, like 100%, 99% of the time, I will book a hotel which can be free cancellation. And that for a couple of reasons I do that. One is it gives me that flexibility to look for a better deal nearer the time. Sometimes those late minute deals come along and you can cancel that booking and get something else because it's reduced in price. But secondly, if your plans fall through for whatever reason, often you can cancel up to 24 hours before. Sometimes it stretches out a little bit longer. Maybe it's a week before, but it gives you that flexibility. So I think that's really important right now to give you that protection on doing that. I assume that's what you're talking about there in terms of protection on bookings. Obviously, things like travel insurance are vital if you go abroad. So you've got that kind of protection if something happens, cancellation, for example, that's out of your hands. Although COVID does make that slightly more complicated. But something else you can do right now if you want to, which kind of gives you even a larger protection if you are traveling overseas by plane, is to get the hotel and the flight together in a kind of package. And this gives you atoll protection, which is really, really important because if one of them goes wrong, say the airline goes bust or the hotel closes or whatever reason, then you can get the money back for both of them. Can be a bit of a faff because obviously the travel industry has been struggling, but that's a really important thing to think about there. And then Stephen also asked this, how to get your money back with a debit card. Yeah, that's something else to think about is how you pay for the hotel. So if you pay with a credit card, again, remember, you don't want to get charged interest on that, so you clear that balance. But if you pay with a credit card, you've got something called Section 75 protection. So as long as the hotel room itself or the stay costs more than £100, okay, so less than that, it doesn't count, but more than £100, you've got that protection. And let's say the hotel just closes. You can't get your money back for whatever reason. The credit card company will give you that cash. If it's less than that, then a debit card has something called chargeback. And this is where you go to the bank and say, look, this is what's happened. They will then hopefully give you, they'll investigate maybe, but they'll give you the money back. But the hotel could challenge that. And then the bank will claw the money back from you and give it back to them. But it's a good one to have. It's just not legally a legal protection the same way that Section 75 is. Right. Muir says, hi Andy, I applied and received a Capital One card in September, but I'm now interested in taking out an Amex card for which I'm eligible for. Is it too early to apply for the Amex? So no, it's not too early. If the eligibility checker says that you have a very, very, very strong chance of getting that card, then you should hopefully be able to get it. You know, unless it's 10 out of 10, unless you're pre-approved, there's still a chance you'll get rejected. 9 out of 10 means that 1 in 10 people are turned down for a card. So as long as you're happy to take that risk, the higher your odds are, the more likely it is you'll get that card, then you've got it. And that's fantastic. And then you can start using that card. What I would say, of course, is I mentioned this in the recent video about improving your credit rating and the article on the same topic, is that if you are planning a important credit application at some point soon. So that could be a balance transfer credit card, not in your case, obviously, or it could be a mortgage or any of these kind of things. Then you kind of want to minimize the number of credit applications you do in a short space of time. But I think you'd probably be fine with that. The important thing to remember here is that you do, I keep saying it because it's so important, you do clear that total balance and not get charged any interest on there. So I think you'll hopefully be fine with that. And then when you've got the Amex, you can start taking advantage of the welcome bonuses, which are great, and then the ongoing benefits you get as well. Although don't forget that Chase Bank current account paying 1% cash back for the first 12 months is probably one of, if not the best ways to earn cash back on your spending right now, rather than Amex, although the welcome bonus does obviously alter things there. Now, Nixby says, I'm thinking of closing my Amex card as the interest rate is going up and the cash back isn't that great anymore. So let's reiterate what I was just saying right now. You do not want to be paying interest on any credit card, but particularly a cashback credit card. If you've got a cashback credit card because you want to earn cash back, that's the only reason you've got it. Yeah, you've got the money in your current account. You could pay with your debit card if you wanted to, but you choose to use a credit card to get points. If you get charged interest on that, it's wiping out any of the cashback you earn. So you do not want to get charged interest on there. And that's why I'm not that worried about, as Nixby says there, the fact that Amex is increasing the interest rate on its credit cards, because I will never pay interest on my credit cards ever. It's never going to happen. I've got a direct debit that's set up for the full amount, so it always comes out of my current account. I'll make sure the money obviously is in my current account every month to cover what I've put on the credit card. Goes out, pays that. It's not going to be an issue. If interest on a credit card is something you are worried about, you think you will be paying interest, then forget all the benefits, forget all those bonuses. You go for the card which has the lowest interest rate. That's the most important thing there. And what I would say to you, Nixby, as well, is I get what you're saying with the cashback rate not being good anymore. But if you've got a free card, one that's not charging you anything at all, one Amex is, some have fees, so bear in mind that, but some of them are free. It's worth having it, simply because there's little extra bonuses that come along from time to time that can be well worth it if you happen to shop at those retailers. And then, generally I can kind of get, obviously it's been slightly different over the last sort of year, 18 months, but I would generally make about 100 quid, I reckon, a year from places I would normally spend money at, regular shopping, getting that little bit extra. And Shop Small is a particularly good example of that. So I would definitely keep hold of it, but make sure that you aren't paying that fee if it's just going to be sitting there. In fact, most of the cards, it depends which one you're going for, but most of the time it's worth avoiding the ones that will charge you a fee every single year. So Gareth says here, have you seen the new Bills Manager on Starling? Yeah, this is really interesting. So I'm going to do an update to my Starling review video probably in the new year, make it sort of fresh for 2022. But this is a great little feature where you can now pay direct debits out of any of the spaces you set up in your Starling account. Monzo's already got that, where its Pots has the bills option there. But this, I think, is fantastic. Really helps you if you want to pay, split out all your different expenditure. So it's kind of out of your main account, sitting somewhere secured, ring fenced. It's not going to be spent on anything accidentally, and then it will go straight away from that little space or pot to the person you're paying. So I think that's fantastic. Obviously, the downside of doing this too often is that you're not earning any interest on those different bits, but I think it's a great addition. And again, we'll update that in the new year on my reviews. Splotter says, hi Andy, what do you think of Pensionbee? So Pensionbee, they seem like a really fantastic option for people who have lots and lots of different pensions and they want to consolidate them into a single account. So you can look at them and manage them in one space, and it's digital and it's all set up from scratch. I think they're doing some really, really good things there. I haven't actually used them myself though, so I always kind of want to sort of hold back slightly with endorsements if I haven't actually gone through the process myself. But I know lots of people who have done that. The important thing you have to remember with Pensionbee or any other consolidation of your pension is to make sure you're not moving over something that's called a defined benefit pension. So a lot of the time this is like the final salary pensions that don't really exist anymore, but it depends how long you started working. But sometimes there are variations of that. Maybe there's a career average one. So when I was at the BBC, for about a year and a half of my 11 years there, I was eligible for something called career average benefit. So if I had stayed at the BBC and carried on paying into that, not as good as the final salary, but it would have been very, very good. And the fact that I was only on that for a short amount of time might mean it's not worth keeping it, and consolidating it would be fine. But you have to check that stuff out. Really, really important that you do that. I know they're quite strong as well, Pensionbee, on the ethical side of things. It doesn't mean they're the best option in terms of ethics and your pensions, but it certainly should be an easy thing to be doing if you want to move your pension funds into somewhere which is hopefully doing good rather than doing bad. Let's see what else we've got here. So Niall says, hi Andy, I'm a young dad looking to get a mortgage with my partner next year. About to get a credit card to boost my score a bit. How long will it take for the score to go up? Currently good on Experian. So this can take a while. This isn't an instant thing. It's a kind of slow progress. Maybe you'll start to see a bit of progress after maybe 3-4 months, but it might take almost a year or something for really kind of that to demonstrate that you are, to the lenders, to the credit reference agencies, that you are responsible with credit. So it can take a while for this to get there. But definitely do it and try and do as many of the other things you can to boost that up. And if you're looking to get a mortgage next year and you're worried about that kind of thing, obviously you can talk to some mortgage advisors. Talk to those guys because they'll have a much better understanding of the market. So they might understand particular lenders who might be more happy to lend to someone with X rather than Y. And in fact, your credit score is already good. Good is still good, right? You still be able to get access to some deals. It just might not be all the deals. So do everything you can. What's really important here, and I mentioned it earlier on, try to avoid any credit applications of any kinds 6 months before you are going to apply for that mortgage. That's really important there. Mr. Fazzi says, my credit score is already good. Just want to get an Amex instead of the Capital One. Would you recommend that? Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get an American Express, the welcome bonus, as I mentioned just now, the welcome bonuses can be fantastic. The American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card is probably the highest paying one if you're happy to have that bonus payment as Nectar points. Use them in Sainsbury's on your shopping. You can use them in Argos, eBay, places like that. And this will give you, sadly, you missed out on a boosted offer, which was ended maybe like a week ago, something like that. But you will get 20,000 Amex reward points if you spend $3,000 in the first 3 months. You also get the points you earn just for that $3,000 spending. Now, you could change that in for a gift card, or you can swap it, say, into Avios points and then into Nectar points. If you did that whole conversion, those two conversions, it's worth 184 or 186 pounds in Nectar points just for that spending in the first 3 months. It's fee-free in the first year, which is great, but at the end of year one, it's 140 quid, which is not worth it. So maybe after that first year, you want to change to a different cashback or reward card, but it's certainly worth grabbing it for that initial reward bonus points that you can get. Derek says, I'm using Starling as my main bank, Andy, and I'm a big fan. However, I've discovered that the monthly rent from my 2 buy-to-let flats can't be paid into the account as it's a business. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. So they won't let you receive money from... That does seem strange. Okay. So I've got a business Starling account. So maybe you should look into a business Starling account, and maybe that's what they require from you. You can have that as a limited company or as a sole trader. And then transfers between the two is really, really easy. If you're talking about payment, the rent payments from the people coming directly to you, that does seem a bit strange. But yeah, message me maybe with more information. That would be good to know. Splot says, do you know much about LPGS? No, I don't know what that is. So I don't know much about that. Sorry. What else we got going on here? Hey, Dilt Shah says, what's your thoughts on Credit Karma? Is it a good app to use? So this is really important here. I've mentioned this before. There are 3 different credit reference agencies. There's Experian, there's Equifax, and there's TransUnion. Now you can go directly to Experian, you can go directly to Equifax, although actually you're better off going via some third parties. So a lot of people will use Money Saving Experts Credit Club to get their Experian score. Lots of people use ClearScore to get their Equifax credit score. It's free, doesn't charge you anything. It's a few extra features, so they're great. TransUnion, they own Credit Karma. You have to go via Credit Karma to get your TransUnion score. So in that sense, yeah, absolutely, it's great. You should be checking that score via Credit Karma. I haven't used it on the app. I've only used it on the desktop, but you should be checking all 3 of those scores. So if you've got your hands on that, then that's fantastic. Definitely do that. Hi to Nick Knock and to Amit and to Hope Rainbow. Hi to Sorepella and Muiz and Selran and Gareth and Jason. And Guy and anyone else. Hopefully I haven't missed any of you guys already. Probably missed a few of you. Sorry about that. What else we got going on here? Okay, so Samira says, hi Andy, I'm an existing Amex Gold customer, so the card that I just spoken about. I've seen your video about maximizing Amex points, but going with Nectar, after seeing the benefits of Nectar, I feel like it wouldn't be useful for me. What's the next best one? So it depends what you're after. The next best card, in fact, the best one in terms of regular earnings is the Amex Nectar credit card, because you get the equivalent of 1% back on that. So the same as you'd get with that Chase Bank account. But obviously, if you don't want Nectar, if you're not going to shop at Sainsbury's, Argos or eBay, and you want actual cash, actual money back to you, then potentially the American Express Platinum Cashback credit card is still the best one. This was my top pick until they changed the rates in the summer. This one will give you 0.75% cash back on every pound that you spend until you get to £10,000, and then any spend in year, in a calendar, well, not a calendar year, in a 12-month period, it jumps up to 1.25% back, so you can earn even more. The money that you earn, you don't actually get it until your 12-month anniversary. In fact, it comes a month after your 12-month anniversary. But if you want actual cash that you can spend on whatever you want, then that's worth looking at. Obviously, you won't get the welcome bonus because you've already got an American Express card, but that does have some benefits for people looking after a brand new card as well, but that obviously doesn't apply to you. It does have a £25 annual fee. If you apply via a cashback site like Quidco or Top Cashback or via a referral code, then you can hopefully get rid of that for the first year. But obviously, as you go into year 2, you will be paying that. They won't be able to cancel it out particularly. What else we've got here going on? So Splotter says, do I know what the best 12-month fixed mortgage is and with who? So no, I don't look at the best buy tables every single day. What you need to be doing really for the best 12-month mortgage, fixed mortgage or whatever the best mortgage deals, is go to a comparison site and have an initial look there, see what there is. Obviously, they all have their own eligibility checks and criteria. So as I mentioned before as well, if you're not sure about one, then it might be worth speaking to a mortgage advisor as well, who would have a better sense of the broader market. But comparison sites are the best place to go. What you need to be careful of here as well, when you're looking at the different rates, is that some of them will have an arrangement fee, or they might call it something different. But essentially, it'd be like, right, where the fee for the fix for 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is 0.86%. And the next one is 0.82%. So you think, oh, that's better. Yeah, it's going to cost me less because the rate is lower. But that other one has maybe a £500 fee or something. So you need to make sure you do factor in the fee as well as the rate and compare them properly. Sometimes one with a much, much higher interest rate for the duration of the fix is cheaper because it has no fees at all. So that's a really important thing to look at there. Andrew says, evening, Andy. I'm getting married next year. Congratulations, Andrew. That's great to hear. So what is the best place to save £500 a month with easy access? I've had two sole Natwest reward accounts in the past and earned the reward. So that was going back to something we said earlier on. Let's think about £500 a month with easy access. So this is probably where we're talking here about, well, it depends when you're getting married. If you want it for 12 months, a regular saver is a decent option. The best one that will let you pay £500 into it, and actually one of the better rates, not fantastic, but it's a variable rate, is with the Coventry Building Society, 1.05%. And in fact, if interest rates do increase, having a variable rate regular saver might pay in your favour. They might actually increase the rate you're getting on it. Obviously, if you're in a fixed one, that'll probably stay fixed for the 12 months, so you'd lose out. Obviously, that will take you 12 months to get the interest to get that account out. And if you're getting married earlier than that and you want the money for the wedding, that's no good. You could look at a combination of different bank accounts and apps and things like that. I've covered those in detail before. Again, article on the blog, video on the YouTube channel, the likes of Virgin Money's M Plus current account, the Claro app if you're on iOS. They're both paying around 2%. Next level down from that would be maybe the Club Lloyd's current account if you have £5,000 in there. But again, you're talking about £500 a month, so maybe that's not the best option. Or you could just look at the best easy access account. Not going to be amazing, 0.67% right now, but it's easy access, so you can put the money in whenever you want and take the money out whenever you want as well. What else have we got going on? Minimad asks, is my drink water or gin? This is water. It's in a pint glass, but it is just water. Nehem says, what topics do you cover on the channel and the podcast? Thanks for answering my previous question. So this might be useful to you if you guys are new and you haven't checked out my stuff before. I guess from what I've been speaking about for the last half an hour, I kind of give you a gist of the things I cover. But broadly, I think it's kind of everything sort of personal finance and money saving. That's where I am. Your day-to-day spending and managing and saving of your finances. So bank accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, shopping and spending, all those kind of stuff. A big range of different topics. Bits of credit reports, bits on mortgages, stuff like that. I don't tend to look at investing. That's not one for me. And obviously, really, to talk properly about some of those things, it's worth to be regulated as well. What else have we got going on? So actually, Splot, this is a good point actually. Splot says, out of interest, is there a specific website to access 12-month fixed-term mortgage deals? The shortest mortgage deals I can okay is a 2-year one. And yeah, broadly, actually, most fixes will be 2 years. There might be some 12-month ones. I don't know specifically. again, maybe talk to a mortgage advisor on that, because then I know if there are any of these specialist products out there. But again, it's not something that I've really spotted out there. It might exist, but you tend to look at 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and then 10 years, maybe some things in between. But that's generally what the fixes seem to be. Our very kind of Saberi here says, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yep, that's fantastic. Any support you guys can give me on Instagram or on the YouTube channel is really much appreciated. It all kind of helps in the kind of algorithms, the more people that interact stuff, which is great. Hi to Didi and to Peter and to Samir in the outdoors, and Carolyn and Uzo. Nice to have you guys watching. Got about another 10 minutes to go, I'd say. So if you've got any questions you want to ask, probably get them in there now, because often nearer the end we do run out of time, so it's not always able to get through everything. Okay, Mini Man says, strange question. How much should you hold in a current account? So there's a few important things we can talk about here. One of them is in terms of how much, the most you should put in a current account. And in fact, this applies to any kind of bank account, savings account, current account, whatever it is. You do not want to have more than £85,000 with a single institution. So that could mean, let's say you've got a current account and a savings account with one bank. Across both of those accounts, no more than 85k. Sometimes banks are partnered. It's the same bank essentially, but they're kind of, the way they're organized, they're slightly different names, but they're still the same bank. And in that case, you have to make sure you don't have that more than 85k between all of those different sort of partner banks. And this is because something called the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. And if you look at a lot of bank accounts, current accounts and savings accounts, you want to look for that FSCS sort of symbol that's on there. That stands for Financial Services Compensation Scheme. This means if your bank was to go under, if it was to go bust, and hopefully it won't, right? Fingers crossed we're not going to have that sort of situation. But if it was to go bust, the government would pay you back up to that amount. Okay. Now there are some temporary limits. So let's say you are, you've got an inheritance, or you're moving house and the money is temporarily in your account before it goes out again. There are some increased limits on there, quite hefty ones as well, for a short amount of time. So your money is okay for that. But generally, any more than that, you'll lose it. Now, actually, unless you have got something big coming along, like Andrew talked about saving for his wedding, some people obviously trying to buy a house, unless you have got a big expense coming up, most people don't need to get anywhere near that. Nowhere near that. In fact, you don't need anything near that in your total emergency savings. Really, the most you want, unless there is a specific thing you're saving for, the most you want is maybe 3 to 6 months of expenses, if you can say that. I know lots of people, even that would be a lot to work towards. But this gives you access to the cash. Fantastic. Anything more than that, you're not going to need it for 5 years plus, then look to invest it and put it away. Now, going back to the question on current accounts, if you have more than £1,000 in a current account, and this is a very specific current account as well, the Virgin Money M Plus current account, if you've more than £1,000 in there, you're losing money. There are other sort of mixes where maybe like £5,000 in the Club Lloyd's current account, you're earning interest there, but anything more than that, you're losing money. You really only want to have money in your current account that is earning interest or is needed to pay the bills or your general day-to-day spending, things like that. Anything beyond that, put it in the best interest paying account that you possibly can to maximize your returns. So yeah, I mean, I imagine most people, I can't imagine really having, unless it's a specific account set aside for savings like that Club Lloyd's one, you probably don't, get your money comes in on payday, whatever your salary is, then ideally you want to move some of that to a different account for your bills, ideally some of that money to your savings accounts. Then what's going to be left for your everyday spending? It's not going to be a huge amount. So yeah, don't want too much in your current accounts. Hope that one helped. And Nadine says, hi Andy, what credit card would you recommend to boost your credit score? This is a really common question that I get, and it's a really, really simple answer. Any credit card. It doesn't matter who the brand of the credit card at all in terms of boosting your credit score. What matters is that you can use it responsibly. So there are certain ones which are called credit building credit cards. The reason they've got that name is because they have quite a low entry level. So people who maybe they've had problems in the past and they've got a very, very low credit score, or they don't have much of a credit score at all, then they're more accessible. There's a higher chance you'll get one of those than maybe the best kind of cashback cards or whatever it might be. But they don't do anything different. It's just how easy it is to get. So in fact, the most important thing you have to consider when you're choosing a credit card is your chance of getting it. If you're pre-approved for one and you want it just to boost your credit score, get the one you're pre-approved for. Yes, your credit limit might be low, but again, it doesn't matter right now because you don't need a credit limit that's high. You just need one that you can use to pay off on a regular basis, completely clear that balance, to again demonstrate that you are able to responsibly use credit. Hi to Jason and Phil and Sarah and Murpho. Nice to see you guys. So what else we got here? So Mr. Fazzi, going back to his question before about choosing an Amex, would I recommend cancelling the Capital One card it already has if he was to get the Amex? Again, check out my video that I released on Sunday or read the article on the blog that I published on Sunday talking about boosting your credit score, because that does contain a section there about should you close an old credit card. It's not a simple answer, but I have tackled it in that video and in that article. Nahem says, I've been watching Martin Lewis' show on switching to a better current account deals. Are there any blogs or resources to explain how this works and how to take advantage? Yeah, do you know what I mean? BeCleverWithYourCash.com. That's my website. That is where I spend most of my time, where most of my content is. Huge amount of information there about bank switching, about all the different deals, the terms and conditions and things like that. So absolutely do please follow me over there. Check out my blog. In fact, every single Thursday, I know I've sort of mentioned to some of you before that I do this. Every Thursday, my newsletter goes out. If you sign up to this, it'll go to your inbox. It'll have the best of the blog, the YouTube, the podcast, everything I do, the top deals that I found over the last week as well. And that's a great way to kind of make sure you keep abreast of everything I'm doing, because it is difficult. If you're on Instagram mainly or YouTube mainly, it's difficult to kind of be across everything. So that email is a great way to kind of make sure you don't miss out on all that information. Simon asks, is there any news on Claro Bank app being available on Android? No, nothing at all. I mean, I'll keep an eye on this. I'll keep chasing them. But when I asked them, they said there were no immediate plans. So they've only just launched on iOS, literally in the last sort of month or two, I think. So I think it might take a while before an Android option comes along, which is frustrating for people wanting to take advantage of that 2% interest rate on $3,000. Tracy says, remortgages. Why don't remortgage off a state that you have legal fees? So it will be in there somewhere. It will be kind of mixed up when you click through and read the terms and conditions. And this is why it's really important for anything you do. I know sometimes it can be a bit kind of laborious, or maybe it just feels a bit kind of, but anything you're signing up for, any of these kind of financial products, so bank accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, and mortgages and loans, all these things, just make sure you understand all the fees. Now, the fees should be very clear. It won't be hidden in the kind of the small print in those documents, which are kind of can be a bit kind of scary. The fee section, if you can find it, it will tell you all the different fees. So if there are legal fees, and often if they're remortgaging with a different provider, they want to do a valuation and all these kind of general mortgage fees that you always have, they will crop up again. So yeah, it's a good point to say though. Rydia says, hi Andy, what is the best easy access savings account for a lump sum, possibly of 10K with no credit check if possible? So personally, if I had 10K and I wanted to put it in a single place, and I wanted easy access, I would put it in premium bonds. So premium bonds with 10K, you are going to beat, with the average rate of luck, what you'd get in the next best easy access account. With savings accounts and premium bonds, there's no credit check for these things. You only get a credit check on a current account, but a savings account there won't be. But similarly with premium bonds, you won't. Now, it is easy access, but you might have to be 1 or 2 days to get the money out. So plan out slightly ahead to get it. But again, I would go with that, and hopefully you'll get maybe the equivalent of 0.8% over a year, something like that in prizes. Can't guarantee it because premium bonds, it is a competition, but I would definitely go for that. If you don't fancy that, the best easy access account right now is 0.67% with Shorecroft. Oh my God, what are they called? You know, sometimes you just forget something. Shorebrook. I want to say Shorebrook Bank. Again, over on the blog, if you go to BeCleverWithYourCash.com, you look at the different options. I've got one that says Best Buys. Click that in the menu, Best Buys, and you'll see the link for the savings account one, and that will take you through all your different options as well. What else we've got going on here? Hi to Moneywise Mum and AP Gennaro. Nice to see you guys. Let's try and wrap things up. Oh God, loads of things have come through in the last few seconds. Right, what I'll do, guys, if I think I probably haven't got time to go through these right now. So you can either message me, you can get in touch, Instagram, you can comment after this video is finished, you can get in touch on Twitter, you can email me, or I will do another one of these videos next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So you can go there. And if you're here closer to 7 p.m., if your question's at the top, it's always more likely that I will answer your question. I don't think, let me just see if there's anything really. Shorebrook Miniman says, thank you. Let me just check if there's anything quickly I can answer. Bobby says, hi Andy, will opening a nationwide current account leave a hard search on my credit file, even though I will not apply for an overdraft? Yes. The only current accounts which, excuse me, which do not hard search you if you don't apply for an overdraft are Monzo and Starling. All the others will do a hard search. It will appear on your credits. That absolutely will happen. Right, guys, thank you so much. Really love doing this with you every single week. It's great to sort of connect with you. I wish there was a way that we could kind of have you kind of voices popping up and all that stuff. It would be amazing to actually have a conversation. But this works really well as well. I will see you next week for another one of these. Again, at Andy Clever Cash on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Same handle on all of those, and becleverwithyourcash.com is the blog. All right, guys, until next time, take care, and I'll see you next week.